Hi, I'm Riley. My family used to laugh behind my back because they thought I cleaned toilets for a living. They even handed me a check at a reunion, as if I was their charity case. But the real joke? I own the company they were begging to save. They erased me from our family's legacy, so I rewrote the ending. But how did it get this bad? What did they take before I took it all back? I was halfway through my morning coffee when my phone buzzed. Just a routine scroll, I thought. Nothing I wasn't already numb to. Then I saw it, the headline staring back at me like a slap dressed in flowers. Local mom steps up to support her struggling daughter. A story of resilience and family. My hand froze on the screen. Beneath the title was a photo taken at the reunion. My mother was smiling, proud and polished. I stood next to her, visibly uncomfortable, holding that check like it was a trophy I didn't ask for. That photo wasn't accidental. I remembered now how she'd tugged my arm that afternoon, insisting, "Let's take a quick one for the family album." I hadn't noticed the local journalist behind her, just another stranger in the crowd. My mother had staged it. She sold my dignity for a column inch. I clicked the byline, Maggie Sloan. I'd seen her work before, light, heartwarming pieces about community fundraisers and adopt-a-pet weekends. Of course Mom picked someone like that, someone who'd eat up the narrative of the misunderstood child and the noble mother doing her best. And not once was I contacted. The article quoted my mother extensively, her sacrifice, her concern, her prayers. My name was mentioned like a side note. Her daughter, Riley, who works a physically demanding job downtown. No profession listed, no voice from me, just curated pity. I set the phone down. I didn't cry. Not anymore. The moment I thought the sting had settled, another blow came. This time digital and deliberate. A message from HR at Subtech, forwarded from their internal Slack. The group chat. Carla had meant to send it privately, apparently to a close colleague, but she hadn't. It landed in the main thread, visible to department heads, IT, and of course, HR. Can't wait to see the look on Toilet Whisperer's face when she finds out Mom put her on blast in the paper. Our family's charity case stays winning. She called me that, Toilet Whisperer, my little sister. The one who'd hugged me at the reunion and said, "I admire your grit." The one who'd offered me a job with a smile too white to be honest. And now? Now I was a joke she'd broadcast, a punchline she'd packaged. I stared at the message. I read it again and again. I didn't get angry, not like before. Instead, I became still. It was a different kind of silence. Not the one you sit in when you're hurt, the kind you enter when you're calculating. I closed the laptop. No more confusion, no more justification. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't imagining it. They hadn't just forgotten me. They'd curated my humiliation, repackaged it as compassion, and delivered it to the world like it was a favor. And Carla? She hadn't even tried to hide it. That was the moment the shift happened. I opened a hidden folder on my desktop, encrypted, dated, and labeled Phase 1 Exposure Prep. Inside, screenshots, call logs, financial transactions. I had been documenting in pieces. Now I'd start assembling. Because I wasn't just going to respond. I was going to reveal. The call came just after 4 p.m., right as I was closing my laptop for the day. Douglas's assistant asked if I could stop by for a quick signature on a clarification form. She made it sound like a formality, routine, meaningless. I should have known better. His office was pristine, cold, like it hadn't been lived in, just staged for power. He didn't even bother with pleasantries, just motioned toward the chair across from his desk and slid a folder toward me. "I figured this would save everyone time," he said, voice low and falsely diplomatic. "It's just a waiver. Declares that you have no interest in any current or future equity associated with Kintech. Legal housekeeping." I didn't touch the folder. "You're not in this world, Riley," he continued, like he was saying something merciful. "It's cleaner to let it go. You're doing your thing, whatever that is. We all have our lanes." I met his gaze but didn't blink. I knew exactly what this was. Not a legal cleanup, an erasure, a final stamp on the idea that I'd never been one of them. "I'll take it home and read," I said quietly. He forced a smile. "Of course." I walked out with the folder under my arm, and the weight of a history that had been edited without my consent. Later that evening, I stopped by Grandma Henrietta's place, not because I wanted comfort, because I needed clarity. She was sorting through old scrapbooks in the garage when I arrived. We made small talk over lemon tea, and I eventually brought it up, casually, but not really. "Did Grandpa ever mention adding me to anything? His will?" She looked up, frowning slightly. "Of course he did. You were always on the secondary beneficiary list for Kintech stock." My hands went cold. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I saw the draft myself before it was finalized. It had your name, right under Carla's. But after he passed, Douglas handled all the legal filings." A long silence stretched between us. "Would it still be here?" I asked. Grandma gestured toward the corner filing cabinet. "If he didn't toss it, maybe." I opened the metal drawer. Dust, yellowed invoices, bank statements, receipts, and then, there it was. A printed, signed, and notarized will, dated 6 weeks before my grandfather's death. My name was there, in bold. Riley Tate, 12% Kintech holding stock, secondary. The current version had no mention of me. And the date? The new version was refiled the same year Carla joined Kintech full-time. It wasn't a mistake. They didn't just forget me. They replaced me. I scanned the document with trembling hands, backed it up to 3 encrypted cloud drives, then sat in the stillness of that dusty garage while Grandma watched me, her eyes full of things she didn't say. I didn't cry. There were no tears left for this family. Instead, I pulled out my phone and sent a text to a name I hadn't used in over a year. "Need confirmation of document alterations and timestamps. Will pay rush rate." The reply came in less than 60 seconds. "Same number. On it." I stood, kissed my grandmother's cheek, and walked out without another word. Because this wasn't just grief anymore. This was design. The apartment was silent, except for the soft hum of my server stack. Night had crept in without warning, the city lights bleeding faintly through my half-closed blinds. I sat cross-legged on the floor of my home office, my laptop open, fingers cold against the keys. I wasn't searching for revenge. I was searching for the beginning. A file named proto_UI_V1 caught my eye. It was dated 4 years ago, back when my ideas were still just sketches and ambition. I opened it and the interface bloomed on the screen. Clean lines, minimalistic overlays. Everything I drafted late at night in that creaky apartment, lit by a desk lamp that flickered every time the fridge turned on. The layout wasn't just familiar. It was mine. I scrolled further, then hit play on a link I hadn't opened in years, a recording of a subtech pitch. Carla stood on stage, poised, confident, smiling like a wolf in lipstick. She began presenting Zen Vault, her innovative data encryption model designed for large-scale client privacy. My model, my encryption framework. Even the example walkthrough mirrored what I'd shown her one Thanksgiving over pecan pie and cheap wine when I'd been too proud to keep secrets. She didn't just borrow the idea, she wore it. The betrayal wasn't loud or obvious, it was surgical, silent. I opened the Subtech development archives through my Signatech credentials. Deep inside the storage system, past the sanitized pitch decks and polished demos, was the original video. Unedited, time-stamped. There I was, voiceover explaining the logic tree, slides marked RT draft, metadata intact. Then came Carla's version, cleaned, clipped, color graded, my voice gone, my name erased. She'd removed the fingerprints but left the skeleton. The last frame of the original video, my full name in the footer, accompanied by a draft watermark I'd never intended to be permanent. I paused the frame. There it was. The erasure, now undeniable. Not a mistake, a choice. Something inside me quieted, not numb, not hollow, just still. She didn't take an idea, she took my future and offered it to the world like it had always been hers. I backed up the footage, twice to the cloud, once to an encrypted hard drive I kept in a fireproof box. Then I closed the file and shut the laptop. I stood, walked into my bathroom, and caught my reflection under the dim vanity lights. The janitor polo hung off my shoulders like it never belonged. I pulled it off slowly, folded it with precision, and dropped it into the trash. No more pretending. The Kinnell estate always looked its best in spring. Flawless lawn, string lights draped from tree to tree like fairy tale tinsel. But that night, the place didn't feel enchanted. It felt staged, and I was not part of the cast. "Can you help refill the ice buckets?" Evelyn asked as soon as I walked in through the side entrance. No hello, no eye contact, just an order tucked inside a smile. "Of course," I replied, my voice steady. I wasn't on the guest list. Carla's celebration of leadership at Subtech was apparently too exclusive for the family janitor. But I was still expected to serve. I moved through the crowd in slacks and a neutral blouse. People nodded politely. Some mistook me for catering. Others just didn't look twice. Carla wore a fitted navy dress. Her makeup was perfect, her words rehearsed. "I wouldn't be here without the quiet support of so many," she said from the garden podium, lifting her champagne glass. "Especially those who keep the lights on behind the scenes." They clapped. I smiled. Tight, controlled. My fingers clenched the stem of my water glass. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. But instead, I drifted toward the shadows, where nobody asked for napkins or drink refills. That's when my phone buzzed. A new Instagram story, posted by Carla. I tapped it open. It was a picture of me, taken moments earlier, bending down to clear empty glasses from the patio tables. I hadn't known anyone was watching. The caption read, "Doing something kind for our family's helper, #humble moments." My breath caught in my chest. It wasn't the image that hurt. It was the applause beneath it. The likes, the laughing emojis, comments like, "She's such a saint," and "Love how grounded your family is." Not a single person corrected it. No one said, "That's her sister." No one said, "That's Riley." Not even my mother. I stared at the screen until the phone dimmed in my hand. This wasn't a dinner. It was a burial, and I'd shown up with my own shovel. I walked to my car in silence. No one stopped me. The party went on. Inside the glove box, tucked between a flash drive and a leather-bound notebook, was a folder labeled Subtech HR Phase. I opened my laptop on the passenger seat, connected to my hotspot, and pulled up the drafted email I'd written weeks ago, but never sent. To HR Subtech. Subject: reclassification request. Carla Denise. Attached: performance audit, compliance concern, reassignment form, pending signature. I clicked send. The confirmation pinged loud in the quiet cabin. For the first time in a long time, I exhaled. She had paraded my silence. Now she'd meet my shadow. The city outside was blurred by glass and silence. From my penthouse window, the lights shimmered like they knew a secret I was finally ready to share. I sat at my desk with the screen glowing soft blue. The reassignment form was finished. The subject line was typed. The digital signature was primed. Carla Denise. Title change. From Project Manager, Subtech, to Facilities Oversight Assistant. It wasn't illegal. It wasn't even personal. It was overdue. I scheduled the implementation for Monday morning, aligned with a previously planned compliance audit. She'd have to smile through it while being reassigned beneath it. This isn't revenge, it's restoration. I clicked submit. The system logged the change and pinged confirmation. For a moment, I just sat there, watching the cursor blink like it was breathing with me. Then I encrypted the memo, routed it through the internal system using my override credentials, and backed it up twice, one on the server, one offline. They weren't going to bury me again. Not this time. Friday afternoon. At Subtech, Carla was printing out materials for her so-called leadership presentation. I watched her through the tinted hallway glass, hands fluttering like she was born to run the world. She flipped through her packet, then stopped. On the final page, my name, approved by Riley Tate, CEO, Signatech Industries. I saw the way her eyes narrowed, the way her lips parted just slightly. She stared at the signature, probably trying to place the name. I waited, holding my breath without meaning to. Then she blinked it away like brushing off a speck of dust, tossed the page into her folder, and moved on. That night, she sent Blake a message. "Do you know who Riley Tate is?" No reply yet. I watched the audit trail in the system light up. She'd opened the file twice more, hesitated, still didn't connect it. I rerouted all future communications through my assistant's proxy. Masked all metadata. No room for slips now. They don't deserve my truth yet. Not until I show them its weight. In the early hours of Saturday, I printed one final copy of Carla's reassignment and sealed it in a manila envelope. On the front, I wrote in pen, "To be opened." Monday later that afternoon, I walked through Subtech's lobby with purpose. Carla passed me on her way out for the weekend. "Big day Monday," she chirped, oblivious. "You gonna be around?" I nodded. "I wouldn't miss it for the world." She smiled, tossed her hair, walked away like nothing was shifting under her feet. Let her enjoy her last day in borrowed power. The air inside the Kintech boardroom was sharp, polished wood, still water, suits with padded smiles. The kind of room built to make people feel important. I walked in wearing black. No maintenance shirt, no pretense, just power. No one noticed me at first. Not really. They were too busy checking their watches, adjusting their ties, murmuring about the acquisition. They expected a man, a mogul, someone important. Not me. Then I dropped the folder. The weight of silence was immediate. Douglas looked up first, confused, then pale. Carla froze mid-sip. Evelyn blinked as if seeing me for the first time in years. "I'm Riley Tate," I said, calm but pointed. "CEO of Signatech Industries. As of this morning, I own Kintech." Someone at the far end of the table coughed. Douglas's jaw flexed. What is this?" "A transition," I replied, opening the acquisition slides. "Smooth if you let it be." Carla's face twisted. "You? You're the buyer?" I didn't answer her directly. I didn't need to. The numbers spoke louder. The signatures confirmed it. My name was everywhere. I didn't need applause. I needed silence, and I got it. The meeting ended with stiff handshakes, reluctant nods, and unreadable stares. The board moved on protocol like machines. But the family? They sat like statues, caught between fury and confusion. I thought that was it, that the real theater was over. But Blake found me in the hallway. He wasn't angry. He wasn't shocked. He was ready. "You've been hiding in plain sight," he said, tapping the folder I still carried. "But here's the thing. People talk." He handed me a document, a printed ownership report of Signatech. "I've got connections, Riley. You want this to stay quiet? I'll need 10%. Equity. Retroactive." My body didn't move. My voice didn't rise. But something inside me narrowed. "Really, Blake?" I said quietly. "This is the moment you picked to go full snake?" He smiled, teeth too white. "Let's not make this messy." I walked past him without responding, but I knew exactly what to do. Back at my office, I typed quickly, a memo to the Signatech Compliance Division. Subject, Forensic Audit Blake Vinton. I attached a list of fund transfers tied to his firm, names of shell accounts, everything I'd archived. "You wanted 10%? I muttered, hitting send. "You'll get visibility instead." The email pinged out. Seconds later, another message slid into my inbox. "Carla, subject, reassignment, appeal." The body was short, direct, furious. "What kind of stun is this? I expect this to be reversed immediately. You're not my boss." I smiled to myself. "Oh, Carla," I thought, "you're about to find out exactly how wrong you are." Monday morning. The kind of day that starts with too much caffeine and ends with the taste of regret. Carla strolled into Subtech like she always did, heels tapping, coffee in hand, ready to be admired. She waved at the front desk, made a half joke about her insane schedule, and slid into her office like she still ran the building. There was an envelope waiting for her, standard white, no logo, just her name in bold black ink. Inside, one page. Effective immediately, her title had been changed, from project manager to facilities coordination assistant. She reread it 3 times before the panic settled into her bones. She slammed open her browser. Her Subtech credentials failed. Email, locked. Workflow systems, denied. Her calendar now listed supply audits, mop inventory, and hourly hallway checks. She grabbed her phone and called Douglas. No answer. She called Evelyn. Voicemail. It wasn't a glitch. It was deliberate. She marched down the hallway toward HR, stilettos cracking tile like gunshots. "I didn't approve this," she barked. The HR manager didn't blink. "It was authorized by executive order. All documentation is in the system." "I'm resigning," she snapped. "Effective now." They nodded and handed her a second envelope. Internal investigation notice. An active audit had been opened against her for professional misconduct. linked to a prior incident involving intellectual property manipulation. She wasn't just reassigned. She was under review. And resigning wasn't an option until the investigation was closed. Her golden parachute had been replaced with a steel cage. Carla left the office quietly. No dramatic exit, no screaming match. She locked herself in a custodial closet and sobbed into the scent of bleach and forgotten mop heads. Meanwhile, in my office, I watched it all unfold. The HR dashboard flickered with updates. One red flag after another. Carla was no longer protected. She was accountable, and I felt nothing. Not relief, not triumph, just silence. This isn't about revenge, I whispered to myself. It's about correction. Justice isn't loud, it's quiet and permanent. I hovered my mouse over an old Instagram post, the one Carla had made at the dinner party. Doing something kind for our family's helper? I deleted it, not out of rage, just closure. Then my phone buzzed. It was Evelyn. I let it ring once before answering. Her voice was smaller than I'd ever heard it. Can we talk? I wasn't expecting the dinner invitation. The subject line read, "Just dinner." No explanation, no plea, just 2 words. It came from my mother's email, her personal one, not the performative family Gmail she used for holiday updates. I stared at it for 5 minutes before I clicked accept. We met at a quiet restaurant tucked between a bookstore and a wine bar downtown. Not the kind of place she'd usually pick. No one to recognize her, no cameras. Just 2 women sitting at a table with too many things unsaid. Evelyn arrived on time, face bare of makeup, hands fidgeting with her wedding ring. She looked smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I'd just grown. "Thank you for coming," she said. I nodded. That was all. We didn't start with pleasantries. No, how's work? No, you look well. We ordered food neither of us would finish. After the server left, she exhaled. "I didn't know how far things had gone," she said. "I didn't know what they'd done to you." I didn't respond. "I read everything. The documents, the audits, the reassignment. You did all of this alone." She was trying. Her voice cracked, but she still couldn't say the word sorry out loud. "I thought I was protecting you," she continued. "I thought I was making up for your choices." I finally looked at her. "I didn't need you to believe in me," I said. "I needed you not to stand in my way." That was the truth. That was all she was going to get. We finished dinner in silence, the kind that isn't angry, just final. After she left, I walked home. The city lights felt different, softer, less like a wall, more like a path. Carla stayed at Subtech. Her title hadn't changed, but now it matched the truth. She reported to a junior manager. She wore flats to work. She avoided eye contact in the hallway. Douglas was under quiet review. The board hadn't made a public statement, but everyone knew. Kintech was now a Signatech subsidiary. No ribbon cutting, just clean takeover, quiet, legal. Blake disappeared. And I didn't feel victorious. They weren't monsters, just cowards in a system that rewards cruelty dressed in concern. They did what weak people always do, hide behind love while twisting the knife. A few nights later, I visited Grandma Henrietta. We sat on her porch drinking herbal tea. She didn't ask questions. She just listened while I talked about legacy, not the kind in wills, but the one we carry in silence, in survival, in choosing who we become after everything falls apart. When I got home, I walked into the room I hadn't opened in years, my old childhood bedroom. The walls were bare, the furniture gone, just wood floors and a window that still creaked when the wind touched it. I stood there a long time. "You don't have to be welcomed home," I whispered, "to know you've moved on." I wasn't expecting the dinner invitation. The subject line read, "Just dinner." No explanation, no plea, just 2 words. It came from my mother's email, her personal one, not the performative family Gmail she used for holiday updates. I stared at it for 5 minutes before I clicked accept. We met at a quiet restaurant tucked between a bookstore and a wine bar downtown. Not the kind of place she'd usually pick. No one to recognize her, no cameras. Just 2 women sitting at a table with too many things unsaid. Evelyn arrived on time, face bare of makeup, hands fidgeting with her wedding ring. She looked smaller than I remembered, or maybe I'd just grown. "Thank you for coming," she said. I nodded. That was all. We didn't start with pleasantries. No, how's work? No, you look well. We ordered food neither of us would finish. After the server left, she exhaled. I didn't know how far things had gone, she said. I didn't know what they'd done to you. I didn't respond. I read everything, the documents, the audits, the reassignment. You did all of this alone. She was trying, her voice cracked, but she still couldn't say the word sorry out loud. I thought I was protecting you, she continued. I thought I was making up for your choices. I finally looked at her. I didn't need you to believe in me, I said. I needed you not to stand in my way. That was the truth. That was all she was going to get. We finished dinner in silence, the kind that isn't angry, just final. After she left, I walked home. The city lights felt different, softer, less like a wall, more like a path. Carla stayed at Subtech. Her title hadn't changed, but now it matched the truth. She reported to a junior manager. She wore flats to work. She avoided eye contact in the hallway. Douglas was under quiet review. The board hadn't made a public statement, but everyone knew. Kintech was now a Signatech subsidiary. No ribbon cutting, just clean takeover. Quiet, legal. Blake disappeared. And I didn't feel victorious. They weren't monsters, just cowards in a system that rewards cruelty dressed in concern. They did what weak people always do, hide behind love while twisting the knife. A few nights later, I visited Grandma Henrietta. We sat on her porch drinking herbal tea. She didn't ask questions. She just listened while I talked about legacy, not the kind in wills, but the one we carry in silence, in survival, in choosing who we become after everything falls apart. When I got home, I walked into the room I hadn't opened in years, my old childhood bedroom. The walls were bare, the furniture gone, just wood floors and a window that still creaked when the wind touched it. I stood there a long time. You don't have to be welcomed home, I whispered, to know you've moved on. Looking back, I didn't burn bridges. I just stopped crossing them. There's a difference. Sometimes, walking away isn't about winning. It's about remembering who you are after years of being told you were less. And if you're standing in the middle of your own story, unsure whether to stay quiet or finally speak up, let this be your sign. Silence isn't strength when it's survival. You deserve to take up space, and sometimes justice looks a lot like peace. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have walked away or stood and reclaimed everything they took? I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from, or simply type 1 if this story touched something in you. And if it didn't, tell me why. Let's talk about it. If this story moved you even a little, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Because some stories aren't just told, they're survived. See you in the next chapter.